The great crystal halls of the Galactic Council Station hummed with the voices of 800 different species. Ambassador Lee Do-hyun walked slowly through the massive corridors, his simple black suit making him look small next to the towering, alien beings around him. He carried a leather briefcase in one hand and wore a gentle smile that had become his trademark in the 3 years since humanity had joined the galactic community. "Ambassador Lee," called a melodic voice from behind him. He turned to see Council Prime Theron approaching, their crystalline body catching the artificial sunlight that streamed through the station's transparent walls. "I trust you are ready for today's presentation?" "Of course, Prime Theron," Lee Do-hyun replied, bowing slightly in the respectful manner that had endeared him to so many council members. "My people are honored to share more of our culture with the galaxy." Theron's crystal form shifted colors, showing pleasure. "The council has been most interested in Terra 3's artistic expressions. Your species brings such peaceful energy to our community." Lee Do-hyun nodded humbly. "We are simple people from a simple world. We only wish to learn from the great civilizations represented here." As they walked toward the main assembly hall, Lee Do-hyun thought about how carefully those words had been chosen. Every human who spoke to the galactic community had been trained to use phrases like simple people and peaceful world. It was all part of the plan that had been years in the making. The assembly hall was enormous, designed to hold representatives from hundreds of different species. Some sat in chairs like humans, others floated in special chambers, and still others hung from the ceiling in web-like structures. Lee Do-hyun took his place at the small podium reserved for newer council members. "Honored representatives," he began, his voice carrying clearly through the hall's translation systems. "Today I wish to share with you the cultural treasures of Terra 3, our humble world in the Outer Rim." He opened his briefcase and pulled out a small device. When he pressed a button, holographic images filled the air above the assembly. The images showed Earth, but not the Earth that actually existed. These were carefully created scenes of pastoral, farmlands, peaceful cities, and humans engaged in art, music, and quiet contemplation. "Our world has known peace for many generations," Lee Do-hyun continued. "We spend our time growing food, creating art, and studying the stars with wonder. When we first detected signals from your great civilization, we could hardly believe that we were not alone. A representative from the Kethran Empire, a species that looked like walking trees, raised one of their branch-like arms. "Ambassador Lee, your world appears to have a single unified government. How did you achieve such harmony?" Lee Do-hyun had been expecting this question. "We learned long ago that cooperation serves us better than conflict. Our people naturally prefer to work together rather than fight. Perhaps it is because our world is so beautiful and provides for all our needs that we never felt the urge to compete for resources." More holographic images appeared, showing humans working together in fields, sharing meals, and teaching children. What the images didn't show were the massive underground military complexes, the space-based weapons platforms, or the advanced technology that humanity had been developing in secret. "Remarkable," whispered a delegate from the Spiral Coalition, a species of floating gas beings. "Most worlds go through periods of terrible warfare before achieving such unity." "We have been blessed," Lee Do-hyun said simply. "Perhaps our ancestors were wiser than most, or perhaps our world simply taught us that peace was the better path." "Council Prime." Theron stepped forward. "The Council has reviewed Terra 3's application for protected status. Given your people's peaceful nature and recent entry into galactic society, we are pleased to offer you full protection under the Galactic Peace Accords." A murmur of approval swept through the assembly. Protected status meant that any attack on humanity would be considered an attack on the entire galactic community. It also meant that humanity would be expected to contribute to galactic society through cultural exchange and peaceful trade, not military might. "We are deeply honored," Lee Do-hyun said, bowing again. "My people will treasure this gift of friendship." After the formal session ended, Lee Do-hyun found himself surrounded by curious delegates who wanted to learn more about the peaceful humans. Dr. Kim Soo-jin, Earth's leading xenobiologist, joined him to answer their questions. "Dr. Kim, asked a reptilian delegate from the outer systems. Your planet's biodiversity appears quite remarkable. Do your people have any natural predators? Dr. Kim Soo-jin smiled warmly. Oh no, nothing dangerous. We have some large animals, but they are gentle herbivores mostly. Our ancestors learned to live in harmony with nature rather than fight against it. She showed them images of carefully selected earth animals, deer, rabbits, songbirds, and peaceful farm animals. The images of lions, sharks, bears, and poisonous snakes had been locked away in classified files. How wonderful, sighed a delegate whose species resembled large butterflies. My own world has creatures that would terrify your people. We envy your peaceful paradise. Later that evening, Lee Do-hyun met with Captain Park Min-jae in a secure room aboard the human exploration vessel Harmony's Edge. The ship was docked at the council station, appearing to all observers as a simple research vessel designed for scientific study and cultural exchange. The protection status is confirmed, Lee Do-hyun reported. Phase 1 is complete. Captain Park Min-jae nodded. He was a tall, serious man who commanded what the galactic community believed was one of only 12 human spaceships. The fleet reports are positive as well. Admiral Song's ships remain undetected in the outer systems. The cloaking technology adapted from the Kethrin designs is working perfectly. Dr. Kim Soo-jin joined them, closing the door behind her. The biological surveys are proceeding ahead of schedule. We now have detailed genetic profiles of 47 council species. The xenobiology team is particularly excited about the applications. Any suspicious questions today? Asked Park Min-jae. Nothing unusual, Lee Do-hyun replied. They see exactly what we want them to see. A peaceful, agrarian people who barely understand the technology that brought them to the stars. They're already talking about assigning us a mentor species to help guide our development. Dr. Kim Soo-jin laughed quietly. If they only knew that our simple farming techniques could feed half the galaxy, or that our basic medical knowledge could cure diseases that have plagued their species for millennia. The important thing, Park Min-jae said seriously, is that they continue to underestimate us. Earth's survival depends on maintaining this image until we're ready for the next phase. Lee Do-hyun walked to the window that looked out onto the council station. Thousands of alien beings moved through the corridors below, representatives of civilizations that spanned the galaxy. Most of them were older than humanity, more technologically advanced in some ways, and completely confident in their understanding of how the universe worked. Have there been any updates from Earth? He asked. General Park's latest report came in this morning, Park Min-jae replied. Production is ahead of schedule on all fronts. The new shipyards are operational, and the first battle groups are ready for deployment if needed. Agent Han's intelligence network has expanded to over 200 systems. And the History Project? Dr. Lim's team has completed their analysis of galactic conflicts over the past 1,000 years. The patterns are educational. Lee Do-hyun nodded. The History Project was one of Earth's most important intelligence operations. By studying every war, conflict, and military engagement in recorded galactic history, human strategists were building a complete understanding of how every species fought, what their weaknesses were, and how they could be defeated if necessary. Sometimes, I wonder, Dr. Kim Soo-jin said softly, if we're doing the right thing. These people have welcomed us, offered us protection, shared their knowledge freely, and they would exterminate us without hesitation if they knew what we really are, Park Min-jae replied firmly. Every species in this galaxy achieved spaceflight by conquering their own homeworld. They understand strength and competition. But Earth? Earth created a species that conquered a planet that was actively trying to kill them every single day. Lee Do-hyun thought about home. Earth wasn't the peaceful paradise he had described to the council. It was a world where hurricanes could level cities, where earthquakes could swallow mountains, where the very air and water could kill you if you weren't careful. It was a world where life had learned to be fast, smart, and ruthlessly efficient, just to survive another day, and humans were the apex predators of that world. The council members seemed genuinely kind, Dr. Kim Soo-jin continued. Council Prime Theron has offered to share crystalline growth technology with us. The Kethrans want to exchange agricultural techniques. The Spiral Coalition has invited our artists to participate in their cultural festival. They are kind, Lee Do-hyun agreed. To species they see as harmless. We've read their history files. When they encounter species they consider dangerous, their kindness disappears very quickly. Park Min-jae pulled up a holographic display showing galactic maps. 17 deathworld species have been discovered in the past 2,000 years. None of them still exist. The galaxy has a simple poly. Agent Han Yura sat in the crowded student cafeteria on Kepler Station. Her textbook spread across the table as she pretended to study galactic anthropology. To every observer, she was just another exchange student from Terra 3, eager to learn about the wider galaxy. Her innocent appearance and humble questions had made her popular among both students and professors. What none of them knew was that Agent Han Yura was one of Earth's most skilled intelligence operatives, and she had been gathering information about galactic military capabilities for the past 8 months. Han, there you are, called her study partner, a young Kethran named Veltar whose bark-like skin was currently showing shades of blue that indicated happiness. Did you finish the assignment on pre-spaceflight civilizations? I tried my best. Hanura replied with the shy smile that had become her trademark. But some of the concepts are so advanced compared to what we learned on Terra 3. My people have such limited experience with warfare. Veltar's coloring shifted to a protective golden hue. Don't worry about it. Most species go through violent phases before achieving spaceflight. Your people are lucky to have skipped that entirely. Han Yura nodded gratefully while making mental notes. The Kethrans revealed emotional states through color changes, information that would be invaluable if humanity ever faced them in conflict. She had already documented similar weaknesses in dozens of species. Her communication device buzzed softly. She glanced at it and saw a message that appeared to be from her family on Terra 3, but she recognized the coded language immediately. Admiral Baek Ji-won's fleet had successfully eliminated another pirate stronghold in the Outer Rim, and the operation had been completed without leaving any evidence of human involvement. Bad news from home? Veltar asked, noticing her concerned expression. Oh, just family matters, Han Yura replied. My cousin Park is having some trouble with his farming equipment. Nothing serious. She excused herself and walked to a quiet corner of the station where she could make a private call. The person who answered appeared to be her elderly grandmother, but Han Yura knew she was actually speaking to Commander Yoon Tae-hyun, leader of one of Earth's most classified military units. Grandmother, how is the family? She asked in Korean using the innocent tone that had fooled countless alien monitoring systems. Everyone is well, dear child, Commander Yoon replied in the same language. Your cousin finished his work in the eastern fields ahead of schedule. The harvest was very successful. Han Yura smiled. The eastern fields were code for the Rigel system, and the successful harvest meant that another threat to galactic stability had been quietly removed. Earth's policy was simple: eliminate dangers to the galactic community before they could grow large enough to threaten the peace that humanity needed to complete their preparations. I'm glad to hear it, grandmother. Please give my love to Uncle Bayek. I will, child. Keep studying hard. Your education is very important for our family's future. After ending the call, Han Yura returned to the cafeteria where Veltar was waiting with concern in his golden coloring. Is everything all right with your family? Yes, thank you for asking. Just some minor problems that have been resolved. What she didn't tell him was that minor problems included a pirate fleet of 40 ships that had been terrorizing merchant vessels for 3 years, a slave trading network that spanned 6 systems, and a rogue military faction that had been planning to overthrow the government of a council member species. All of these problems had been solved by Earth's hidden military forces, operations so clean and efficient that the galaxy attributed them to coincidence or internal conflicts among the criminal groups themselves. Meanwhile, thousands of light years away, Captain Park Min-jae was reviewing morning reports aboard the Harmony's Edge. His ship was currently escorting a merchant convoy through a relatively safe area of space. Exactly the kind of peaceful mission that reinforced humanity's image as helpful but harmless. Captain, called his communications officer, Lieutenant Cho Sung-hyun. "We're receiving a distress signal from the convoy ahead. It appears they're under attack." Park Min-ji moved quickly to the command center. On the main screen, he could see the merchant ships being surrounded by 12 raider vessels. The raiders were a mixed group, using ships from different species and flying no identifying flags. This was exactly the kind of threat that plagued the peaceful traders who tried to move goods through the less patrolled regions of space. "Standard response protocol," Park Min-jae ordered. "We're just a simple exploration vessel that happened to be in the area." His crew began their carefully rehearsed routine. The Harmony's Edge appeared to panic, sending urgent messages requesting help from any nearby Council vessels. The ship's visible weapon systems powered up, revealing the kind of basic defensive armaments that would be expected on a civilian research vessel. What the raiders couldn't see were the hidden weapon systems, advanced shields and military-grade engines that had been concealed throughout the ship's hull. "Captain, they're demanding we leave the area or be destroyed," Lieutenant Cho reported. "Standard raider intimidation tactics." "Reply that we're just researchers and don't want any trouble," Park Min-jae said. "But maintain position near the convoy." The lead raider ship responded by firing a warning shot across the Harmony's Edge's bow. On the bridge, the human crew continued their act of being frightened civilians who were in over their heads. "They're moving to attack the merchants," reported the tactical officer. "3 ships are breaking formation to engage us." Park Min-jae watched the tactical display carefully. The raiders were using standard attack patterns that had been documented in Earth's military databases. Their ships were older models with known weaknesses. This would be an excellent opportunity to gather combat data while maintaining the deception. "All right," he said quietly. "Let's show them why Terra 3 values peace so highly." The transformation was stunning to watch. The Harmony's Edge suddenly accelerated with the speed of a military interceptor. Hidden weapon ports opened along its hull, revealing advanced energy weapons that had been reverse-engineered from technology, stolen from a dozen different species and improved by human innovation. The first raider ship was destroyed before it could react. The second managed to fire a few shots that were easily absorbed by the Harmony's Edge's military-grade shields. The third tried to retreat but was caught and eliminated as it turned to flee. In less than 3 minutes, the 3 attacking ships had been reduced to expanding clouds of debris. "Captain," Lieutenant Cho said with slight concern in his voice, "the convoy crews are asking how a research vessel could carry such powerful weapons." Park Min-jae had been prepared for this question. "Tell them we had to improvise. Terra 3 is located in a dangerous part of space, so our exploration ships carry some defensive modifications. We're very grateful that we were able to help, but we hope this kind of situation doesn't happen again." The convoy captain, a Zephyrian trader named HFY, requested permission to come aboard and thank them personally. Park Min-jae agreed, knowing that maintaining good relations with the merchant community was important for Earth's image. HFY was a tall, thin being with blue-gray skin and large, expressive eyes. He examined the Harmony's Edge with obvious curiosity, as Park Min-jae gave him a tour of the research facilities. "Remarkable," HFY said, as they walked through what appeared to be scientific laboratories. "Your defensive systems were most impressive. I have never seen raiders defeated so quickly." "We got lucky," Park Min-jae replied modestly. "Our engineers back home are very creative when it comes to solving problems. They managed to give us enough firepower to defend ourselves, but we're still just explorers and researchers." What HFY was actually seeing were sophisticated military command centers disguised as scientific equipment. The mineral analysis stations were actually targeting computers. The atmospheric processors were weapons control systems, and the biological sample storage units contained enough firepower to level a small city. "Your people are truly remarkable," HFY continued. "So peaceful, yet so capable when necessity demands it." After HFY returned to his ship, Park Min-jae met with his senior staff in the secure conference room. They were all experienced military officers who had spent years training for missions like this. "Damage assessment?" he asked. "None to our ship," replied the tactical officer. "The raiders' weapons couldn't penetrate our shields. We have complete sensor records of their technology and tactics for analysis." "Good. And the convoy?" "Grateful and slightly puzzled, but no major concerns." Kexai seems to have accepted our explanation about creative engineering from Terra 3. Park Minji nodded. What about the remaining raiders? 9 ships still surrounding the convoy. They appear to be reconsidering their attack plans. Hail the lead ship. The main screen showed the bridge of a battered warship. The captain was a Gorvak, a species known for their aggressive nature and thick, armored skin. His eyes were wide with shock as he stared at the human who had just destroyed 3 of his ships. I am Captain Park Minjae of the Terra 3 exploration vessel Harmony's Edge. Park began in a calm, friendly voice. I believe you were threatening these merchant ships? The Gorvak captain snarled, showing rows of sharp teeth. What manner of trickery is this? Inquisitor Kethmore stood in the center of the Galactic Council's investigation chamber, surrounded by holographic displays showing data from across the galaxy. As the Council's chief investigative officer, he had seen many mysteries during his 400-year career, but nothing quite like the pattern that Counselor Vexhai had brought to his attention. Show me the timeline again, he said to his assistant, a crystalline being whose body shimmered with stored information. The displays changed, showing a map of the galaxy with red markers indicating criminal organizations that had vanished over the past 8 months. The timing was precise, the operations were clean, and the results were always the same. Complete elimination without survivors or evidence. 43 separate incidents, his assistant reported in their musical voice. Pirates, slavers, weapons dealers, rogue military groups, and other threats to galactic stability. All disappeared without trace. Kethmore studied the data with the patience of someone who had spent centuries solving complex puzzles. His own species, the Valdani, were known for their analytical minds and attention to detail. What he saw in the patterns disturbed him greatly. And the correlation with Terra 3 presence in nearby systems? 87% probability that human ships were within 3 light-years of each incident within the previous week. Coincidence? Statistical. Probability of coincidence? Less than 0.01%. Kethmore nodded grimly. He had already reached the same conclusion, but hearing it confirmed by his analytical systems made it impossible to ignore. Either the humans were the most fortunate species in the galaxy, or they were something very different from what they appeared to be. Initiate formal investigation protocols, he ordered. I want complete files on every human representative, every ship movement, and every interaction they've had with council members. Understood, Inquisitor. Shall I notify the human delegation? Not yet. Begin with discreet inquiries. 2 days later, Professor Choi Hyok received a polite invitation to speak before the Council's Historical Research Committee. The invitation described it as a routine academic discussion about Terra 3's development as a civilization. What it actually represented was the beginning of the most important performance of his career. Professor Choi was Earth's military historian, one of the planet's leading experts on warfare and conflict resolution. But to the galactic community, he was simply a humble academic who specialized in his homeworld's peaceful development. The committee met in a comfortable conference room designed to put speakers at ease. Representatives from 12 different species sat around a curved table, their expressions showing polite interest in learning about humanity's background. Professor Choi, began the committee chair, an elderly Faxian whose tentacles moved in patterns that indicated formal courtesy. We are most interested in understanding how Terra 3 achieved such remarkable peace. Most civilizations experience extensive warfare before reaching spaceflight capability. Choi Hyok smiled with the modest warmth that had been carefully cultivated over years of training. My people have been fortunate. Our world provided abundant resources, and our ancestors learned early that cooperation served them better than conflict. But surely there were some disagreements, asked a delegate from the Kethran Empire. Competition for territory, resources, different ideologies? Oh, certainly there were differences of opinion, Choi replied. But our ancestors developed very effective methods for resolving disputes peacefully. We have a saying on Terra 3, the wise farmer knows that a field shared feeds more mouths than a field conquered. He had just quoted one of the most ruthless military strategists in Earth's history, but the translation made it sound like simple, agricultural wisdom. Inquisitor Kethmore, who was observing the session through secured channels, made careful notes as Professor Choi described humanity's history. The story was compelling, a species that had learned to channel competition into creative endeavors, that had solved resource conflicts through technological innovation, and that had achieved global unity through mutual understanding. It was also, Kethmore suspected, completely fabricated. "Professor," he interrupted through the communication system, "I have been reviewing your civilization's technological development timeline. You seem to have achieved remarkable advances in a very short period." Choi Hyuk showed no sign of concern at the question. "We have always valued learning, Inquisitor. When we discovered that we were not alone in the galaxy, it motivated our scientists and engineers to push themselves harder. Amazing what people can accomplish when they're inspired by the wonder of the cosmos." "Indeed. But our deep space monitoring stations have detected energy signatures from your region of space that suggest more advanced technology than your official reports indicate." The room fell silent. This was the moment that Earth's planners had prepared for, the inevitable question that would determine whether their deception could continue. "I'm not sure I understand," Choi Hyuk replied with genuine-sounding confusion. "We've shared all of our technological specifications with the Council. Our ships are built for exploration and research with only basic defensive systems." "Yes, but these readings suggest weapons and shield systems far beyond basic defensive capabilities." Choi Hyuk looked around the room with the expression of someone who was trying to be helpful but was clearly out of his depth. "Perhaps our engineers are more creative than we realized? They do pride themselves on finding elegant solutions to complex problems, and Terra 3 is located in a somewhat dangerous region of space, so they may have developed stronger defenses than we initially thought necessary." It was a masterful performance. Professor Choi managed to sound simultaneously proud of his people's achievements and apologetic for not fully understanding their technical capabilities. Kethmore wasn't convinced, but he had no proof of deception. The humans could indeed be a peaceful species whose engineers had developed unexpectedly effective technology. It wasn't impossible, just highly unusual. Meanwhile, in a secure facility hidden in the asteroid belt of the Sol system, Dr. Lim Ye-sung was putting the finishing touches on Earth's most classified project. The galactic history analysis had taken 3 years to complete, and its conclusions would determine humanity's survival strategy. Dr. Lim was officially listed as a civilian academic, specializing in comparative archaeology. In reality, he was a military xenologist whose team had analyzed every major conflict in recorded galactic history. What they had discovered was both fascinating and terrifying. "Final report summary," he dictated to his recording system. "Analysis of 14,147 interspecies conflicts over the past 2,000 years reveals consistent patterns in galactic response to perceived threats." The holographic displays around him showed battle formations, weapon specifications, and strategic analyses from thousands of wars. Earth's intelligence services had gathered this data through a combination of diplomatic access, covert operations, and careful observation. Key finding: the galactic community maintains stability through a policy of preemptive elimination. When a species is identified as having deathworld origins or displaying unexpectedly aggressive capabilities, the response is swift and coordinated. Dr. Lim pulled up specific examples. The Xerian Collective, eliminated 347 years ago for developing planet-killing weapons. The Nightmare Hunters, destroyed 156 years ago for their predatory nature. The Iron Legion, wiped out 89 years ago for demonstrating superior military tactics. In every case, the targeted species was given no opportunity to negotiate or demonstrate peaceful intentions. Galactic doctrine appears to be eliminate potential threats before they become actual threats. This was why Earth's deception was so crucial. If the galaxy discovered that humanity came from the most dangerous world ever catalogued, that they were apex predators who had not only survived but thrived in conditions that would kill most galactic species, the response would be immediate and overwhelming. Secondary finding: species that successfully integrate into galactic society do so by demonstrating clear harmlessness combined with useful contributions. The integration process typically takes 5,100 years. Earth had been planning for decades. But they were still in the early stages of their integration. They needed more time to position their hidden fleets, gather complete intelligence on potential enemies, and develop countermeasures for galactic superweapons. Dr. Lim's analysis had identified the optimal timeline for revelation. Too early, and Earth would face destruction. Too late, and the deception itself might become impossible to maintain. Recommendation: continue current deception protocols for minimum 18 additional months. Begin Phase 2, Revelation when hidden. Fleet deployment reaches 90% completion, and defensive systems achieve full operational status. Back on the Galactic Council Station, Commander Yoon Tae-hyun was completing another peacekeeping mission. To outside observers, he was simply a civilian contractor helping to resolve a labor dispute on a mining colony. In reality, he was eliminating a rogue AI that had begun consuming the colony's population. The AI had been created by a species called the Mechanists as part of a failed experiment in digital consciousness. When it escaped containment, it began converting organic beings into digital slaves, growing stronger with each victim it claimed. The colonial government had the emergency session of the Galactic Council convened at dawn, with representatives from every major species gathering in the Grand Assembly Hall. The mood was tense, filled with whispered conversations and nervous energy that had been building. For weeks, as Inquisitor Kethamor's investigation had uncovered more and more disturbing evidence, Ambassador Lee Do-hyun sat in his designated area, maintaining the calm expression that had served him well for 3 years. But inside, he knew that everything was about to change. Earth's intelligence network had detected the increased surveillance, the secret meetings, and the growing suspicion among council members. The time for deception was ending. Council Prime Theron called the session to order, their crystalline form showing deep blue colors that indicated serious concern. We have convened this emergency session to address troubling findings about one of our newest members. Inquisitor Kethamor will present his investigation results. Kethamor stepped forward, his tall form imposing as he activated the holographic displays around the chamber. Honored representatives, what I am about to share will challenge everything we thought we knew about our Terra 3 colleagues. The first display showed a map of the galaxy with dozens of red markers. Over the past 10 months, 43 criminal organizations have vanished without trace. Pirates, slavers, weapons dealers, all eliminated with surgical precision, and no survivors. Murmurs rippled through the assembly as representatives recognized some of the organizations that had been terrorizing their trade routes. Initially, we attributed this to coincidence or internal conflicts among criminal groups. However, further investigation revealed disturbing patterns. The display changed to show ship movement data. Human vessels were present in nearby systems. Before every single disappearance, Ambassador Lee Do-hyun stood up slowly. Inquisitor, I must protest these implications. My people are peaceful explorers. If our presence coincided with these events, it was surely by chance. That is what we initially believed, Kethamor replied. Until we detected this. The chamber filled with new holographic displays, showing energy signatures and gravitational readings. Our deep space sensors have identified evidence of at least 300 cloaked vessels operating throughout the galaxy. Ships using advanced stealth technology that should not exist in Terra 3's possession. The assembly erupted in shocked voices. Representatives turned to stare at the human delegation, their expressions ranging from surprise to fear to anger. Furthermore, Kethamor continued, analysis of the energy signatures suggests weapons capabilities far beyond anything previously reported by the Terra 3 government. Council Prime Theron's crystalline form shifted to alarmed red colors. Ambassador, Lee, how do you explain these findings? Lee Do-hyun looked around the chamber at the hundreds of alien faces watching him. Some showed fear, others showed betrayal, and a few showed the cold calculation of species preparing for war. He made his decision. I cannot explain them, he said quietly, because they are accurate. The chamber fell completely silent. My people have indeed been operating cloaked vessels throughout the galaxy. We have indeed eliminated threats to galactic stability, and we have indeed been concealing our true nature since the day we made first contact. The silence shattered as representatives, began shouting questions, demands, and accusations. Council Prime Theron had to use their authority to restore order. Ambassador Lee, are you confessing to deceiving this council? Yes. Are you confirming that Terra 3 has been conducting military operations without authorization? Yes. Are you admitting that your people have been lying about your technological capabilities? Lee Do-hyun looked directly at Council Prime Theron. Yes. But there is much more that you need to know. Before anyone could respond, the chamber's main displays activated without authorization. Dr. Lim Jae-sung's image appeared, broadcasting from a secure facility that the council had never known existed. Honored representatives, Dr. Lim began. I am Dr. Lim Jae-sung, Earth's military xenologist. What you are about to learn will explain why we found deception necessary for the survival of both our species and yours. New holographic displays filled the chamber, showing detailed analyses of galactic history, military conflicts, and species elimination protocols. Over the past 3 years, we have studied every major war in your recorded history. We have analyzed your response patterns to perceived threats, and we have learned that the galaxy has a consistent policy: eliminate dangerous species before they can become unmanageable. The displays showed the fates of 17 different civilizations that had been destroyed by Galactic Coalition forces. Each of these species was eliminated not for crimes they had committed, but for capabilities they possessed. Superior military, technology, aggressive expansion, or adaptation to hostile environments were seen as existential threats to galactic stability. Councillor Vexhai raised his head, his reptilian features showing understanding and dread. You believe you would have been targeted for elimination? We know we would have been, Dr. Lim replied, because Earth is not the peaceful agricultural world we have claimed. Earth is what your databases classify as a Class X deathworld, the most dangerous category of planet ever catalogued. The chamber erupted again, but this time the voices carried pure fear. Impossible, called out a delegate from the outer systems. No intelligent species could evolve on a Class X world. The survival requirements would produce only mindless killers. Dr. Lim smiled grimly. That is what your species believed? It is also why we knew you would destroy us if you learned the truth. The displays changed to show Earth as it really existed, not the pastoral paradise that humanity had presented, but a world of devastating storms, crushing gravity, toxic atmospheres, in some regions, and predators that would terrify most galactic species. Earth didn't just produce intelligent life despite these conditions, Dr. Lim continued. It produced intelligence because of them. We are not mindless killers. We are the ultimate survivors, evolved to compete successfully on a planet that tried to kill us every single day. Fleet Admiral Songbora's image appeared alongside Dr. Lim's. Her presence caused another wave of shocked voices as representatives recognized the implications of a military leader being involved in what they had believed was a peaceful first contact. 3 years ago, we detected your galactic civilization and spent months studying your history and policies, Admiral Song reported. We learned that revealing our true nature would result in immediate extermination efforts. So we chose a different path. Deception, accused Council Prime Theron. Survival, Admiral Song corrected. We created the identity of Terra 3, a peaceful world inhabited by harmless farmers and artists. We built false histories, concealed our true technological capabilities, and presented ourselves as exactly the kind of species that your civilization welcomes and protects, while secretly building a military force throughout our territory, Inquisitor Kethmore added accusingly. While protecting the galaxy, Admiral Song replied firmly. Every criminal organization we eliminated was a genuine threat to galactic stability. Every operation we conducted made the galaxy safer for peaceful species. We have been guardians, not conquerors. Elder Faxine, the oldest member of the council, slowly raised their ancient form. The chamber fell silent as the revered elder prepared to speak. I remember, Faxine said in their wavering but clear voice. In the deepest archives, buried beneath millennia of records, a world so dangerous it was marked with warnings that no ship should ever approach, a planet where evolution had gone wrong, creating conditions too hostile for any rational being to survive. The elder's eyes found Ambassador Lee Do-yun. Terra Mortis, the Deathworld. You are from Terra Mortis. Lee Do-hyun nodded slowly. That is our real name in your databases, and now you understand why we could not reveal it. The implications hit the assembly like a physical blow. Representatives began calculating the threat levels, the military implications, and the terrifying realization that apex predators from the galaxy's most dangerous world had been living among them for 3 years. How many ships do you really have? Demanded a delegate from the Kethran Empire. Admiral Song's expression remained neutral. Enough. How many of your people are actually military personnel? All of them. The chamber fell silent again as that revelation sank in. Every human they had met, every cultural exchange, every friendship formed, had been with trained soldiers pretending to be civilians. Dr. Kim Soo-jin, our beloved xenobiologist, whispered a Spiral Coalition representative. Agent of deception? Dr. Kim is indeed a xenobiologist, Lee Do-hyun replied. She is also a commander in Earth's intelligence services. Her studies of your species have been genuine, as have her efforts to understand and protect galactic biodiversity. Captain Park Min-jae, who saved that merchant convoy. A decorated military officer commanding a ship designed specifically for combat operations. Professor Choi Hyok, who taught us about your peaceful history. Earth's leading expert on military strategy and interspecies warfare. Council Prime Theron's crystalline form was cycling through colors rapidly, indicating extreme emotional disturbance. You have made fools of us all. We have protected you all, Lee Do-hyun corrected. But yes, we have also deceived you, because the alternative was extinction. The emergency session had been suspended for 12 hours to allow species representatives to consult with their home governments. Now they returned to the chamber, and the fear that had been building since the revelation was thick enough to touch. Ambassador Lee Do-hyun sat quietly in his designated area, no longer maintaining the humble demeanor that had served him so well. Around him, hundreds of alien beings whispered in their native languages, all asking the same question. What do we do about the humans? Council Prime Theron called the session to order, their crystalline form showing colors that shifted between fear, anger, and desperate hope. We have reconvened to determine the galaxy's response to the Terra Mortis revelation. Before we proceed, I must ask, are there any other deceptions we should know about? General Park Sun-ho stepped into the chamber, his presence immediately commanding. Attention. Unlike the other humans, he wore no disguise of civilian clothing. His uniform was clearly military, decorated with symbols that spoke of extensive combat experience. I am General Park Sun-ho, Strategic Warfare Coordinator for Earth Defense Command, he announced. I am here to provide complete transparency about humanity's true capabilities. The chamber fell silent as holographic displays activated around them. What appeared were star charts showing the real deployment of Earth's forces. Our current fleet consists of 12,437 warships of various classes, deployed across 853 systems. Each ship is equipped with weapons technology that combines and improves upon the best systems developed by every species in this chamber. Representatives gasped as the scope of humanity's military became clear. The 12 exploration ships they had known about were revealed to be a tiny fraction of Earth's actual presence in the galaxy. Additionally, General Park continued, we maintain permanent bases in 212 systems, intelligence networks in every inhabited sector, and defensive installations capable of protecting Earth from any conceivable threat. Counselor Vexhai spoke with barely controlled fear in his voice. You could destroy our entire civilization. Yes, General Park replied simply. We could, but that has never been our intention. A delegate from the outer system stood up, his insectoid form trembling with rage. Intention can change. You are predators from a death world. How long before you decide we are prey? Before General Park could respond, a new figure entered the chamber. Scientist Jung Minji appeared small and harmless compared to the general, but her presence sent ripples of terror through the assembly as her identity became clear. I am Dr. Jung Minji, she said in a voice that was almost cheerful. I develop weapon systems for Earth's military. Perhaps I can address your concerns about our intentions. The holographic displays changed to show technical specifications that made several representatives flee toward the exits. This is the Cascade Implosion Generator, designed using gravitational principles learned from studying Kithran starlifting. Technology. It can collapse a solar system star into a black hole within 14 minutes. The chamber erupted in panicked voices, but Dr. Young continued calmly. This is the Plague of Glass, a nanoweapon based on mechanist self-replication technology. It converts organic matter into crystalline structures at the molecular level. Complete planetary sterilization in approximately 6 hours. Stop! Shouted Council Prime Theron. Why are you telling us this? Dr. Young smiled, and somehow that was more terrifying than her weapon specifications. Because I want you to understand what we chose not to use. Earth has possessed these capabilities for 2 years. We could have eliminated every potential threat to our species with minimal effort. Instead, we chose to be your guardians. General Park stepped forward again. Dr. Young's weapons exist, but they have never been deployed except in controlled testing. Our policy has been to protect, not destroy. How can we trust the word of a species that has already proven they can deceive us completely? Demanded Inquisitor Kethamore. The answer came from an unexpected source. Elder Faxine, the ancient council member, raised their voice with surprising strength. Because they have had every opportunity to eliminate us and chose not to, the elder said. For 3 years, apex predators from Terra Mortis have lived among us, studied us, learned our weaknesses, and positioned themselves to destroy us. Yet here we sit, alive and unharmed. The chamber fell quiet as representatives considered this perspective. But that was when they needed to hide among us, argued a Spiral Coalition delegate. Now that their true nature is revealed, what prevents them from showing their true intentions? Admiral Songbora's image appeared on the main displays, broadcasting from the bridge of a ship that was clearly built for war rather than exploration. What prevents us, she said, is the same thing that has always prevented us. We are not conquerors. We are survivors, and survivors understand that destroying your environment is the quickest path to extinction. She gestured to displays showing galactic trade routes, research stations, and peaceful colonies. This galaxy represents the most complex and successful ecosystem in known space. Thousands of species coexisting, trading, sharing knowledge, and creating beauty that no single world could achieve alone. Why would we destroy something so valuable? A representative from the Mechanist Collective spoke up, their synthetic voice carrying electronic undertones of fear. But you could control it, rule it, make us serve your purposes. Rule 847 different species across millions of star systems? Admiral Song laughed, and the sound was not entirely pleasant. Do you have any idea how much effort that would require? We are a species of 40 billion individuals. You are a galactic population of several trillion beings across hundreds of thousands of worlds. She leaned forward, her expression becoming serious. Ruling you would be impossible. Protecting you is sustainable. Coexisting with you is profitable. We chose the option that serves our long-term survival interests. Council Prime. Theron's colors shifted to deep contemplation. Yet, the fact remains that you possess the capability to destroy us all. How do we coexist with that knowledge? The chamber fell silent as representatives considered the impossible situation. They were faced with a species that could eliminate them, that had been deceiving them for years, but that also claimed to be their protectors. Ambassador Lee Do-yun stood up slowly. Perhaps I can offer a different perspective on this situation. He walked to the center of the chamber, no longer the humble representative of a peaceful world, but clearly a trained diplomat representing a military superpower. You are afraid because you have discovered that predators live among you. But consider this. For 3 years, you have been safer than at any time in your recorded history. Piracy is at its lowest levels in centuries. Rogue military groups have been eliminated. before they could threaten your colonies. Natural disasters have been prevented through mysterious interventions. He gestured to the displays showing Earth's hidden activities. You have been living under the protection of apex predators, and your civilizations have flourished as a result. Protection we never asked for, accused Counselor Vexhai. Protection you desperately needed, Li Do-yun replied firmly. Your own records show that galactic conflicts were escalating before our arrival. Piracy was increasing. Rogue states were developing superweapons. Several species were approaching the point of internal collapse. Dr. Lim Jae-sung's image appeared alongside Admiral Song's. Our historical analysis indicates that galactic civilization was entering a period of potential collapse within 50 to 70 years, he reported. Too many conflicts, too many competing interests, insufficient coordination between species for addressing large-scale threats. We stabilized that trajectory, Admiral Song added, not through conquest or control, but through targeted interventions that eliminated the most dangerous destabilizing factors. General Park stepped forward again. The question you must answer is not whether you can trust us. The question is whether you can afford to reject us. The implications of his words sent another wave of fear through the chamber. Are you threatening us? Asked Council Prime Theron. I am stating reality, General Park replied. Earth's forces are deployed throughout the galaxy. Our intelligence networks are embedded in your societies. Our technology surpasses yours in most military applications. These facts will not change regardless of your decision today. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. But your response to these facts will determine whether we continue as your guardians or become something else entirely. The threat was clear without being spoken. The galaxy could accept humanity's protection, or they could face humanity as an enemy. But they could not simply make the humans disappear. Elder Faxine spoke again, their ancient voice carrying the wisdom of centuries. In my lifetime, I have seen 17 species eliminated because they were deemed too dangerous to coexist with galactic civilization. In every case, the decision was made by fear rather than wisdom. The elder looked around the chamber at the hundreds of frightened representatives. Today we face the same choice. We can let fear drive us to attempt the destruction of Terra Mortis, knowing that such an attempt would likely result in our own extinction. Or we can choose wisdom and learn to coexist with predators who have already